How you doing? I'm just gonna put my headphones on. Probably be easier to hear.
Yeah, nice. You doing okay?
That's better. Can you hear me?
Yeah, yeah, great. Sounds good.
Yeah, let me turn it down. Mine's a bit louder. There we go. That's better. How's it
Nice.
been? I haven't seen you for ages. I haven't spoken to you for ages.
I know, right? Just yeah, good thing, man. Just life, music, all of that sort of stuff. What about yourself?
Yeah, yeah, same. Yeah, yeah. Family. Yeah, three. I got three kids now. Got three girls, so it's
Keep you
um,
busy.
it's been pretty crazy. Yeah, but to be fair, like I found a really good like work life balance. Whereas like I get up really early in the morning now to do music, like ridiculously early before work.
Yeah.
I kind of get up 4 o'clock in the morning and do a couple of hours on my music and then go to work. And I only get a couple of hours, but I'm way more productive and creative at that time of the morning, I found.
Yeah,
Um,
I've always thought that I've never been able to write music in the evening, like late. I just
yeah, yeah, because you're
just
fatigued,
drop
aren't you?
off. Yeah,
Yeah,
so I don't know. I know some people that like absolutely just come alive, like they find their second wave in the evening
at
and they're
night,
like,
yeah.
that's when I need to write. And but I feel like the type of music we write, it lends itself to being like when no one else is awake. So whether you get that done in the
Abs
morning or the evening, you get it
Absolutely.
done.
Yeah, it's that psychological thing I find of like knowing if someone's around, someone else is around, you know that you can be distracted, I think, and it kind of
Yeah.
plays on your mind. And if you know that you've got yourself to yourself, it kind of, yeah, definitely helps. So yeah, I've been writing more than I ever have done with way less time, but it just seems to work. And we're kind of, I'm not stressing, in the evening, like, oh, I haven't done any music, because quite often I would probably take my stress out on the kids or my missus, so it's
Yeah,
kind of nice.
I get that in a way that like, say for instance, if I've like already like given my creative energy to like doing what I need to do that day, that morning. Like,
Yeah.
because I write music in the morning as well.
Mm.
And then I feel like, it doesn't really matter what the day throws at me now. I've done like what I needed to do.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah, yeah, yeah,
and
yeah,
I swear half of it is like showing up, sitting down, and just like hacking
yeah,
away. Like,
yeah,
and
yeah,
I've been trying to think about something this guy said. Um, he's like a music coach guy that like puts out like cool emails, posts and blogs and that sort of stuff, and like podcast or whatever. It's Mike Monday,
yeah,
and he said about how like don't worry about like what you're actually making in the moment. Like don't like judge it, be the editor. Instead, he said like think about like the output as like the wake behind the boat. It's the thing. It's just always there. The output's going, but
yeah,
what really matters is kind of like the journey. And
yeah,
maybe I've got that wrong, but that's what I
yeah.
took from it. And I
No,
was
no,
like,
no,
yeah, that really,
definitely. Sometimes you forget that as well, don't you?
yeah,
Sometimes you get so wrapped up in, oh, how many releases am I going to put out in the next couple of months or whatever, and who's going to like it? And actually, we do this because we do it because we love it, and that should be what matters.
yeah. And I'm always confident that just some of the stuff I'm doing. I'm like, I'm not sure anyone's gonna like this, but it's fine. So
Yeah, but that's great. Like, and the thing is, with your recent stuff as well, you've been like experimenting with different time codes and stuff,
yeah, time
and it's
signatures, yeah.
really interesting. I mean, I can't remember listening to anything before where someone played on the time codes like that, apart from the Sov EP. Do you remember the Sov? Sov did an EP on Full Cycle back in must have been 97 called the Freebeat EP.
Okay.
Yeah, it's called the 3-Beat EP, and he
Yeah,
he he played on time signatures, and
yeah,
I can't remember hearing anything since then,
yeah.
apart from your track on your
Oh,
Ocean and
nice. Yeah,
Fire
that's
EP.
cool.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah. I just yeah, I know one. I know of one track. I've got it saved on my Spotify, and I listen to it all the time. And I was like, yeah, this is amazing. And then there's like the people like on the real edge of
yeah,
like
yeah,
drum and bass, like super on the edge. Like
yeah,
you're kind of I don't know. I swear, like Venetian Snares did like a few bits that were
Yeah,
like drum and
yeah,
bassy, like time signatures,
yeah,
and then there
yeah.
was like a couple of
Yeah, I
other
said
people as
time
well.
code, didn't I? I mean time signatures, yeah.
Yeah, no,
That's
that's just,
right.
and it's like there's a few people that are in that kind of world, but it's always a little bit more experimental. So I was trying
Yeah,
to kind of do something
yeah.
that met that times his signature thing, but at the same time was like a little bit still like, oh, you could recognize it as DMB, but now I'm just like, I don't know if anybody would even recognize this, but I'm having a lovely time. So
That's great. And that's what matters. And I
yeah,
think
well,
it will set you apart from the rest as well. And you'll come across as like and you as an individual, as an artist, because you're just out there doing what you want to do. And with
yeah,
no care given for what anyone else thinks, which really that's how it should be as an artist.
yeah,
It's not about trying to please other people, it's trying to please the artist within you.
yeah. I guess so. And
Ultimately.
what about yourself and your like? Because I know you said about a few different bits, like different like tempos, like switching up a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, I haven't gone as kind of crazy as you on getting way out there with stuff. But I did kind of get to the point where I'd finished my album, I'd done a couple of remixes that I needed to do. After that, kind of like my album's very sci-fi and very kind of inspired by like the Speed of Sound album by Origin Unknown and that kind of thing. And after that, I was just like, yourself, when you do a certain sound, you kind of almost gone, I need a break away from that. And I kind
Yeah,
of almost went the other way and I wrote a load of stuff for the guys at the Source, which is almost like Bristol kind of jump up sound. But for me,
nice.
it's got to be done in a way that has a little bit of kind of decorum. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
Um,
yeah,
but the attitude I had with those tracks was, with my deeper stuff on my album, I would sometimes spend months on one track, just creating a whole folder of effects and stuff just for one tune. Whereas with the Source stuff, I was like, right, I'm gonna see if I can put a track together in half a day, and
that's
I'm
nice.
not I'm not gonna overthink things. I'm just gonna kind of what I did is kind of set myself times. I said, like, I've got half an hour to choose a beat, and that's it. I've got to choose a beat in half an hour. And then after that, I need to write a bass line in half an hour. And
Yeah,
then I'm going to give myself another half an hour to find effects. And then the rest of the day would be arranging and trying to do the mix. And actually, that worked for me. And I came up with some pretty catchy tracks. You wouldn't listen to them and think, oh, these are kind of works of art. They're amazing, but for me, it was like I just needed to do the opposite as what I was doing before,
yeah,
um, and just do some stuff, having fun, because it is about
yeah.
having
Of
fun as
course,
well,
yeah.
and
Because
they're wet. Go on.
I think that's really easy to forget. Is like you know like as well as all of like the stuff of being like super like on it, serious, productive, and all of that stuff is really good. But at the same time, like if you're not having fun doing music, like I mean, there is bits like when you're doing mix revision 7 because the hi-hat was a bit harsh one time, like
Yeah,
that's not so fun, but for
no,
the most part music should be fun,
of course it
and
should, yeah, but it's easy
there's
to get bogged down.
yeah, and there's not a reason why like even like the tedious stuff can't be like streamlined. So I think workflow is really important for that sort of thing.
It
And
is, and I know
I
we've
I,
spoken about that before, haven't we?
mm,
Workflow and
I love
technique.
that. Yeah, I love that idea that you said about limitations of
Mm,
like I've only got this amount of time, so that's what I'm
yeah.
gonna do. And I just like absolutely yeah, I love it. I think it's
And do
great.
you know
That's
what?
all.
It forced me to actually choose a palette of sounds that sometimes I wouldn't usually go for because I am really fussy when it comes to sound selection. And
Mm,
sometimes I will spend just hours looking for like a pad or an effect. And I was like, I can't do that. I just need to choose something that I'm like, yeah, okay, that's all right. I'll go with that. And
yeah,
actually, I ended up one day, I was doing a guest show on a feature on it was the Source and Sofa Sounds. It was like that
nice.
Christmas special. And I said to myself, I'm gonna spend one day trying to write as many tracks as I can just to play on that show. So like you know how it used to be, it was like you'd make a track just exclusively for the weekend or whatever.
Yeah,
Um, and end up sitting down and I wrote 4 tracks in one day
nice.
that I played on the show. And like to put it into perspective, I've never even written a whole track in one day before and finished
Yeah,
it.
wow.
And I did 4 just by using that technique of like not being, overly fussy with sound selection and obsessing about stuff. And funny enough, they're like some of the catchiest tracks that I've ever written. And it's like that whole Bristol mentality that they used to do as they'd go into the studio. They could only work on one track and just bash it out in a day for the weekend kind of thing.
Yeah,
So yeah, it's really, really good little technique to use.
yeah,
But you're not always in the frame of mind for doing music like that. I've gone back to
yeah,
now wanting to do some more kind of complex stuff, and that takes time and it takes patience as well, which is that what's
yeah,
that to
that's
you?
it. I think like part of it was when like if like an analog console is like the heart of the studio, it kind of forces your hand to do it in a day because
Yeah.
like you would have to reset the console for the next client or like the next
Yeah.
day or
Yeah.
whatever.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
like you could maybe spend 2 days on it because you could
Yeah.
leave it set up that
Yeah.
night,
Yeah.
wake up, finish it in the morning. But then after that, like the tune's got to get done before you can start the next one. Because
Exactly. So you've got,
so
yeah. Yeah.
I think the technology kind of forced a little bit of that back in the day, and it's
Yeah.
nice to bring some of that back. And that's what I was trying
Definitely.
to say about like limitations and
Hmm.
all things like that. When we've got the DAW and unlimited synths and unlimited plugins, it's really easy to just be like, oh yeah, I could try this, I could try that, I could add that, I could add that. And
Yeah.
it can just be like more of a like just sound experiments than like
Yeah.
actually making progress. So I
Yeah.
think there's a balance. Like if you're in the studio to make a tune, like write the tune. If you're in the studio to experiment, have fun, do whatever you're doing. But like
Mm.
for me personally, like I've found little things like it just doesn't help me to have like 15 choices of EQ. Like I need like 2 at the most,
No, it
clean
doesn't.
one
No.
and the
No.
one that's like got character. And
Hmm.
then compressors, you need like not 50 million,
No.
you just need like maybe, I don't know, 4, 5 good ones that have got their own little characters. And that's probably enough. One really versatile, like, I don't know, I don't want to get too geeky, but I'm a
No,
geek, so
geek out, geek out. I think some people
but
like to
like
hear it.
the like like the Pro C
Yeah.
uh from Fab Filter, that's
Yeah.
like a really nice, like just does the job, gets
Yeah.
your compression done, and it's like lovely. And then recently I've been thinking, oh, I need like something that does that FET kind of sound,
Yeah.
and I still
Yeah.
haven't really found what I'm looking for yet. But yes, on that journey, which is good. And a little optical one for like a LA2A sort of thing for like vocals and like just
Yeah.
riding things,
Yeah.
which is quite
Yeah.
nice.
Yeah.
And then you need some like mad, like I don't know, chaos ones. Like I use OTT quite a lot for like
Yeah,
just
that's
bringing
yeah,
like
yeah. I
stuff.
remember
And
I
then
remember you telling me that before, yeah. See,
yeah,
I'm a funny one when it comes to like compressors and that. It's something that I find it hard to hear the real detail. Some people can go, yeah, I love this compressor for this, and I kind of have always like struggled to go, yeah, oh yeah, I see what they're going on about there. And I've actually defaulted back to using the Logic stock compressors. Um,
hey, but the thing is, the Logic's got like all the stuff in it. Like if
yeah,
you switch through those modes, it's
yeah,
got optical
exactly,
VCA, like
exactly,
they're
yeah.
all there.
Yeah, and some have faster releases and the tags, some are a bit grittier, and I've just found myself using them, and I'm like, do you know what? I feel that these are actually all I need, and if I need a bit more top end or a bit more bite, I'll do something else. I'll use something else.
Yeah,
I'll
that's
use
it.
some. Do you know what I mean? So it's whatever you're happy with using, whatever you're comfortable using. I think you can
Yeah,
overthink it.
yeah, I couldn't agree more. And the thing is, as well, I used to be that person with like a trillion plugins, like
Mm,
it's like all of them, like and
yeah,
like I'm like, oh, they've given me this. Oh yeah, I've got to use that now, and like
yeah, yeah,
it just all come diluted because
yeah.
like there's no like real consistency. Whereas if
No,
you like
no.
really invest and be like, okay, yeah, I need
Mm,
this
yeah,
one thing to work, then boom, it can start to sound like something. And the more I go on, the less and less I'm trying to use to like really refine and define uh what my music is. Because I think, say for instance, if just like you said, if you were given the bare minimum tools, like the absolute bare minimum, and like you said, if you're given the bare minimum time and you had to make something happen, like weirdly, I think you get closer to what like
Yeah.
you as an artist sound like
Yeah,
somehow. Like,
definitely. Well, it's like you say, it's consistency, and also you're learning those plugins and synths inside out. So you're actually, you have a better relationship with them,
yeah,
rather than just skimming over the surface of what they can do. Um, and yeah, it's the same with samples, I think, overloaded, like we were talking about before. If you have a small amount of samples to use, you will make the most of them. I was
yeah,
listening to a track that I did years ago before, must have been, it was before I even went digital. So I was just using an Emu sampler
nice.
with an Atari ST. And I remember I must have had five samples on this one disc, and I had this string sample, and I turned that string sample into so many different effects that went into the tune because I didn't have anything else. And it
Yeah,
was literally just from playing with it all day, running it through the filters and stuff. And I had all those in this tune, and this tune sounded amazing. I mean, obviously, like the mix downs and stuff weren't as good, but in terms of sonics and character, what I had turned that string into was crazy. Um, so yeah, it forces you into being creative, and yeah, it's consistency as well. So
I'm just I'm just writing down your good ideas and stealing them.
no, go for it, man.
Like just
Well,
wrote down how many sounds can I make from just like one sample? Because
mm,
that's a cool thing I haven't done for a minute. Like,
well,
okay, I've only got this tiny little sound. What can I make from that?
you sent a sample pack over not so long ago that you'd done from, was it a chair
Yeah,
in a room?
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, that's
right.
it. Yeah, that's the one.
Yeah, amazing. See, that's crazy.
Yeah,
Um,
that was out of I can't exactly remember what happened, but like I was in a studio and it turns out like either the client didn't turn up or like the
mm,
I was supposed to be working with some or something happened where like or I got some studio time in the studio, but like something had gone wrong. So it was just me on my own, and like, crap, I've got to use this time now because I'm
yeah,
here and it's all like booked and stuff. And I just didn't have anything, but they had like mics, but there wasn't any instruments, there wasn't anything there to record. So I was like, well,
no,
there's a chair here. Let me see what noises I can make from it. And then like just like moved it around, scraped it along the floor. And this was way before like people did memes of like chairs being
yeah, yeah, yeah,
basses.
yeah,
Like so I didn't want to be like
yeah,
this
yeah,
was
yeah.
like in this was a long time ago now. Maybe even 8, 10 years, something like that. It was like,
Oh, so
yeah,
I
like,
thought it was something that you'd recently done.
yeah, yeah. But like the recordings
Yeah,
were
we're
like
old.
that were really old. And I just
Mm,
like, all I was doing was like trying to learn the console, trying to learn the gear. So I was just running
mm,
it through like a whole bunch of stuff. But like at that point, I didn't know that you could like get like oscillators, white noise, and all that sort of stuff from the console. I hadn't learned
yeah,
all that
yeah,
yet.
yeah,
And pink noise and things like that. It's normally pink noise and oscillators just on most consoles if you do have it. So
yeah,
like I was like, I didn't realize you could get all of that stuff out of the console. So I was just like, well, I need a sound source. And I was like, I don't feel comfortable like using my voice. So I was like, let me chuck this chair around and like move it and make noise out of it. So I just had this like huge, like, because I had like 4 hours in the studio. So I had
wow,
like a huge like range of recordings trying to get the most sounds I could, and then that was run through every bit of gear they had, like
yeah,
Kemper amps.
mm,
There was like a Neve tape 500 unit, like there's a red one and a blue one. There was like the stressors. There was this whole rack of gear, and I was like, okay, let me run it through all of it, see what
yeah,
it can do. And then I just sat on the sounds for like a long, long time, and I just searching for thing one day, and then like I heard these samples, and I was like, what is this? Realized it was a session and I was like, right, I'm doing some of this. So I did like about 2 weeks of sound design, I think, and just like morphed them all up, got as many sounds as I could out of them. And then that basically became the sample pack really. And I was
have you
thinking these,
released that or not?
Yeah, yeah, it's up on my Bandcamp.
It's on your Bandcamp, okay. So you didn't go through Splice or anything like that.
Nah, nah, just I was like, look, let me build my own like little
Mm,
Bandcamp thing, and I'm
yeah,
still
yeah,
doing loads of stuff on my Bandcamp just to try and like
yeah,
develop that and push that a little bit. But most of it is like if you like stuff that's a little bit weirder and
yeah.
like non-conventional,
Oh,
that's
you should
like
have told me. I didn't even know you had one. I'll have to check it.
sweet. Yeah, no,
Yeah.
that's no problem. That's great. Like,
But you
and I'm
did
just
send me the
just
sample
slowly,
pack, and I was like, it sounds wicked.
yeah, that's what
Yeah,
matters is you've got the
yeah,
sounds.
mm, yeah. So yeah, I wanted to speak to you about Juggernaut because
Yeah, I loaded
it
it up.
you loaded it up.
Yeah, just that I was like, I spent a while actually trying to find the session because my naming is terrible. It's called
Yeah, yeah,
Collab V2.
yeah.
So I was like, how am I supposed to remember that? Yeah.
Funny enough, I got my old Mac out the other day, and I was flicking through, and I found it. It was named something like. I know. I think you were actually on the one that because I went through the last session, which did have collab idea for Reckless. Um, and yeah, it was just weird because that must have been maybe 4 years ago now, I think, possibly around that.
Yeah, I was looking at the times. Um March 21 says here.
March 21. Yeah, that'd be right. I remember what time of the year it was. And it I wanted to talk to you just because obviously it's going to be coming out like next month, I think, and it's been a long time coming, but
Yeah.
like you're not present online, are you really, in terms of social media? You're not really on Instagram and stuff. You're one of those guys, which I would be to be fair, because I can't stand it. Um, but so obviously you haven't really seen the hype around it apart from me sending you little clips going, "Look, it's
Yeah.
popping, what's going on here?" And what's funny is like one when we wrote that track, I would possibly say that it's the easiest collab that I've ever written in my life. Like I think I did about 3 hours to start it, and then I sent it to you, and you did 1.5 sessions on it or something.
Yeah.
And then you sent it back to me, and I did like an hour where I just put one vocal in, I think it was. And then we came together, do you remember, online to finish it?
Yeah, yeah, I think
And
so.
we only
Yeah.
spent like an hour online over Zoom and it was done. And it was like, after we finished that, I kind of had the feeling I was listening to it and I was thinking, I feel like this is a special track. I mean, there's no denying that it's very much like it's got a very shadow boxing feel to it, it's that kind of long drawn out Reese with a massive reverb tail. But I think something about it made me feel like, when you connect with a track and it kind of, I think what it was is at the time I felt I was going for a really rough time at home and I was pretty depressed. And I remember the day I came and started it and I was like, I wanted to kind of take how I was feeling and put that into music, as an
Mm.
artist. You can't always do that. But I think when we did it, I felt like I'd done that because I mean it's a pretty morbid, depressing tune, really, isn't it? Do you know what I mean?
That's interesting. It's so
Um,
interesting the way like people like interpret stuff. Because for me, I think it's like I don't know. It's like definitely ominous, like in the intro. There's definitely like that sense, but like I don't know, the bass, yeah, it does pretty much like yeah, it growls and grows, yeah. Yeah, I don't know. Like for me, it's not as. But I do remember there was a time when you was having a really tough time as well, where like I remember chatting to you once and like you couldn't move because you like injured your
on my
back.
back, yeah, that was after actually. That was when we
Oh
tried
right,
some
okay,
more
yeah.
collabs. Yeah, I slipped my disc really badly in my back.
Bless you.
But the disc like protruded into my sciatic nerve. So I had acute sciatica as well. It was, yeah, awful. I was like out of work for about 4 months, I think it was.
Yeah, bless you,
But
man.
yeah, that was but when we did Juggernaut, yeah, I was just going for a bit of a rough time at home mentally and stuff. It's happened to the best of us.
Yeah,
Um, but the other thing I was thinking, like I wrote some notes down. It was I kind of had a really good feeling about that tune. I was like, it's not a big dance floor smasher, but it just feels anthemic about it. And when I sent it to TV, Tibo's like, yeah, I really like this, but I always know when he loves a track, you know, and I didn't get that vibe from him, and I was like, hmm. Usually he would go on about something, you know, he'd text me or send me video clips going, oh, I can't stop listening to this. And I didn't get that with Juggernaut. And it was
Yeah.
funny. I think it must have been a year or a year and a half after we finished it. I was away visiting family in St. Lucia, and he sent me a message, TV, and he was like, I think he was in Mexico, he's playing. He said, Juggernaut. He said, I played it last night and it was a moment in the set. And from then on, he said that in every set that was always like a moment where there was like this kind of thing with the audience, the crowd, the MC. It was almost, I think, because the intro, because he would play it from the beginning, you see, and because the
Oh,
intro is
right.
longer than most tunes that are, from start to finish these days. I think it's
Yeah.
like a 3 minute intro or something, and a lot of people
Yeah.
are doing two and a half,
128
3.
bars.
Yeah,
Yeah. 3 minutes. Yeah.
yeah. There are people doing 2.5 minute tunes these days from start to finish. So
Yeah.
I also think it's that time where there are no drums, and it's this crescendo of the kind of bass just building up and up. And it kind of gives time for that interaction between the crowd, the DJ, and the MC, and that's what he said.
Mm.
And then, after that, I was just once it got sent out to people, it was like there was a real kind of buzz about it. And obviously, because we wrote it so long ago, it's had time to grow and grow. And
Yeah.
I've had the biggest. The thing is, you're not really contactable because you're not on it. I've had people messaging me left, right, and center. Andy C's played it in every set for about the last 2.5 years. I
Nice.
went to watch him at the O2 with a mate of mine, and he played it at the O2. 20,000 people sold out O2, and I was just like, this is crazy. Um,
That's awesome.
yeah, popping off on the forum. So I just thought it'd be cool to talk to you about it. It's one of those things. I think because we found it so easy, because it came naturally. It's one of those tracks that just wrote itself. I've had
Yeah.
people say to me, "Oh, that must have taken ages to write." Oh, it must have taken it. So there's so much detail in there. And I'm like, actually, it's one of the easiest tracks I've ever written. We've ever written. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I remember vividly the only thought I had about this tune was like, oh, these parts are sick. I best
Mm.
not mess this up.
Oh,
That was my
really?
that was my only thought that I had about the tune. I was like, yeah, this is really sick. Like the idea you sent at the beginning was like solid. So I did look through and like look at what I added, and I was like, yeah, I added a bit here, a bit there. Like I added a kick and like a snare, but like they're like super subtle. And I just like,
Mm.
oh, I just needed a little bit there or whatever with that. And then I don't know, I, I can't exactly because it was a while back
I
now,
can
but I
remember. I
remember,
I I can remember what you added because yeah, I'm a bit like that.
but it was
You,
because I looked here. There's definitely a kick.
yeah, you did those drum fills though. The little drum fills with the kind of old school drum fills at the end of every 16. The
Oh
little
yeah,
rolling fills with the little vocal sample, and you also put that bongo section in there, the percussive section that kind of gives it
yeah, yeah.
almost a different groove. Um,
Yeah, because I just thought like after however long, 32 or 16 of that big like
yeah,
thing, I just wanted it to like
yeah,
go out to like somewhere completely different. So
yeah,
when it came back again, you could be like, yeah, that's the groove. And I felt like because it didn't, I don't know, maybe because it did such a long thing for the intro
yeah,
for it to like come back it needed to be quite rapid, like
yeah,
in that
yeah,
second half,
yeah, yeah,
So
yeah.
yeah. But I definitely remember like I think correct me if I'm wrong because I'm struggling to remember. But you definitely did a lot of the intro work,
Yeah.
and then, but I think maybe I added. I'm not sure if I.
I'm not sure if you added anything to the intro. You might have done. I listened, but I couldn't hear anything. But
No, I
there are
don't.
you put a lot of nuances in
In the
over the
later
drop.
section,
There's
yeah.
there's actually a bit that's one of my favorite parts of the track that you did, and it's this little kind of chimey bell sound that just happens once. And it really reminds me of that sound that Adam F put in Metropolis.
All right.
That kind of offbeat, it's like a chime that goes, "Ding."
Yeah.
then it like cuts off. And I love that. I just got goosebumps just talking about that. And yeah, because it gives you that kind of real metalheads sound. Because I mean, ultimately, that's it sounds like an old metalheads tune. And I kind of yeah, that leads me on actually nicely to a moment that I think I texted you, but I was in Norway in TB Studio, and Dillinger was over there with us, and T was playing Dillinger my album, and I sat there.
Nice.
I mean, how my heart was in my throat. You know what I mean? It's like Dillinger. This is some of our favorite producers' favorite producer. And he sat
Yeah.
there, listen. And when he listened to that, when he listened to the Juggernaut, he was like, "You guys, you have nailed that sound. You have nailed it." And then when we left the studio, he pulled me again and he went, "You've nailed that track." And he said, "Goldie is going to lose his shit when he hears this tune." And I was like, that
That's
is one of
awesome.
those moments where I'm like, all those years of fighting, having battles with yourself in the studio.
Yeah.
It was one of those moments where I was like, that is what it's all about. It's not always about DJing in front of a crowd. It's kind of, getting that sort of recognition, um,
Yeah.
and appreciation. Um, but yeah, that was amazing. And I thought, I wish Matt was here, man. Like to hear that. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. I tell you what it is. Like, I don't know whether it's like, I don't know whether I'm just like, uh, something's wrong with me or whatever. I don't know, but I just like all the stuff with like social media or whatever. I just get so anxious. It's good that you said about like mental health stuff, because really that's one of the reasons I can't do it. Like I've tried, and the only one I kind of feel comfortable with is like YouTube, because
Mm,
like I can like just talk about music and it just be about that and then do that. But like, and I just think like I don't know like that, and so that's kind of been one of my things. And somehow like I don't know like detaching myself from all of that was something I just had to do like a while back,
mm.
and I was like, hey, this is
I,
what I've got to
I
do.
no, I think
Yeah,
it's cool, and I'm actually exactly the same. And when I come around to release some music, and you're expected to do the whole social media thing, I get anxiety over it.
yeah,
And actually, there's so much emphasis put on content that actually this is kind of why I'm having this conversation with you now, because I'm like, I had a thought, I had to think about it, and I was like, how can I create content that I actually enjoy doing? And I thought, well, why don't I just chat to people about stuff? That's cool, and I'm going to enjoy doing it. So I've done
yeah.
this. I've also started a subtitle show as well online. I did my first one last month.
Oh,
So
amazing.
yeah, so I recorded the second one a couple of nights ago. So yeah, but I enjoy it. You know what I mean? So this is content to go online that I enjoy doing. Whereas I'm not a presenter. I can't go on every day and go. When you get people acting like a clown, each to their own. But that's not me. Do you know what I
Yeah.
mean? And I'm guessing you're the same. But it is, in some ways, it is a shame because you've missed out on seeing a lot of um people's reactions to your music, being
Oh, yeah,
played and
yeah.
stuff like that. But
Yeah, that's the one thing. It's so nice to like see people like connect with stuff and like
mm,
have positive influence. That I always think that's like just wonderful. I'm so grateful for the bits that
yeah,
you have sent me. Uh,
mm,
at the same time as well, I like I just I just think from doing music, and like there's a Bowie quote that probably says it better than I'll say it, but like he said something like, if you can be creative, like somehow it gives you a better idea of like how you fit in with the world and who
yeah,
you are, and
yeah,
like
yeah,
you've
yeah.
got something to say, and
Mm.
like just finding a way to express that is like really important. So
Yeah, yeah. Well, it's like you're expressing your inner self in some sort of way, aren't you? It's kind
mm,
of, I feel really sorry for people that don't have a creative output at all. Because for me, it's like, I feel like it's who I am. It's like, it might sound a bit cheesy, but that it's kind of, you feel like you have some sort of purpose. I mean, apart from being a dad, it's like purpose. That's kind of, you get up every day and it's this release of something inside you that it's amazing.
yeah, and I think on the same lines, if like as well, like connecting with art as well can be like someone's outlet for that as well. So say
Mm,
for instance, like I might go like I'd love to be like a painter, artist, drawing, that
yeah,
sort of stuff.
yeah.
But if I like I'll try it obviously myself, like and do just like
Mm,
bare basic stuff.
yeah, yeah.
But then like you see the masters at it, like the art, like you know, in like modern art, Renaissance stuff, whatever, you know, that you're looking at, or like, you know, and you see him doing it and you're like, you can I feel like I can also get like that kind of thing, not being very clear, but like I feel like I can also interact with someone expressing like
Yeah.
who that
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
like,
yeah,
and it's
yeah.
just being able to see someone like work at that stuff. And I think that's one day where like my personal aim is to like be able to make music like I don't know that like someone will put in a frame almost. Do you know what I
Yeah,
mean?
yeah, 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 yeah. Yeah, I know exactly what you mean.
Yeah,
It's
I don't feel like I'm expressing it quite.
something I get what you mean that someone could like recognize it as an expression and something that they could go back to over and over again, like you'd look at a picture every day. You
Yeah,
you go
that
back to this piece of music and uh, um I mean
yeah,
music, any sort of
yeah,
yeah, yeah, artwork is
connect with people as well.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, 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 definitely. The session might cut off in a minute, so I have to message you I have to send you a link again.
Yeah,
Uh,
no stress
but I
at all,
won't
man.
keep you much longer anyway. But obviously, I made some notes. I just wanted to see what else I put. I think we covered a lot of it, but
Yeah,
really been really good to catch up with you actually.
yeah, 100%. And I just wanted to say, man, like you've given me like loads of good things to think about. Like just having a chat with you is something like I'm happy to do, and like I'm like, yeah, this is cool. This is like
Yeah,
even a worry, and I feel like I can just be totally myself,
yeah,
like just a nerd in the studio,
yeah,
you know. So
exactly. Yeah,
and that's right, and like yeah, so I just wanted to like yeah, like just yeah, say like big ups, you know, like commend
yeah.
that. I
No,
think
no,
it's
no. We I
great,
mean
and
we
I'm
used to
really
chat on the
interested.
phone, didn't we? Like occasionally we'd be like, yeah, what's up?
Yeah,
Let's have a chat, and we'd end up being on the phone for an hour, just like let's have a 5 minute chat. It's like geeking out and stuff. Um, and the other thing I was going to say is I need to finish these tracks that we started, but it leads me on to another subject is like I've been getting like really bad mixed down anxiety recently where I'm also like procrastinating, I'm like I need to do these mix downs and there's just this block and I'm stressing myself out of it. And I think what it is that fear of failure, not being able to do it to the standard that you want to do it at. And it's almost like I'd prefer not to do it at all than to try and end up failing. And it's I go through these weird cycles like that. And I keep it's on my list, finish the stuff that I've done with Reckless. Um, and yeah, I need to just break through that that block. Let me just call you back, Matt.